We talked about the way we manage changes in the previous lesson. Do you remember how it was? The main idea was that we have to consider all consequences of the change based on different knowledge areas that we have here. Yes, they are called knowledge areas. And then I told you that this whole process is done in a process. It's called a process. Everything that we have in the PMBOK guide is done through processes. And this one is called integrated change control. And then my question was that which knowledge area do you think contains this integrated change control? Each process belongs to one of these knowledge areas. It's difficult, you see. Which one should it be? It's dealing with all of them. It's about considering the consequences of change in all other knowledge areas, and none of them really have a higher priority here. For example, if you say that scope, then not every change is initiated through changes in scope. Some of them are because of cost or because of some other thing. That's why in the PMBOK guide we have another knowledge area, and that's in the center, the integration knowledge area. That's our 10th knowledge area, and that contains everything that has to do with all other knowledge areas. This change control is one of them. It can be about knowledge management. It can be, for example, some performance measurements, because they have to do with all of these. It can be about running the project, the main execution of the project. That's about all of them, and especially about those three on the top that create our performance baselines. All right, so this was our final knowledge area, and you see how the PMBOK guide structures everything that we need to do in the project based on different knowledge areas. The other way that we can group and structure our activities or processes is based on this. You remember that we start with initiating the project, we create a project chart and a stakeholder register, then we plan it. At the end of planning, we create the baselines. Then we run the project, we execute the project. And because we know that executing is nothing but implementing the plans, and yet we know that the things are always changing, we need to see the deviations, we need to understand the deviations, and based on that we have to reflect them in our plans probably and let them apply in execution again. And that whole thing is done with another group of activities called monitoring and controlling. So this is the second way that we can group our processes. And finally, the last process group, these are process groups. The last process group that we have in the PMBOK guide is closing. That's also important when we are at the end of the project or we want to cancel the project. We have to really close it. And that's a problem, because when people reach the end of the project, they are so happy with everything that they just forget about a few simple things that they need to do at the end. And because of that, later on, even maybe after a few years, they run into many problems. I've seen many of those problems. Financial problems are one of them. So that was it. A really quick overview of the PMBOK guide. You saw how it sees the project, what's our overall perspective to the project, and you learn the concept of processes and the way they are organized based on knowledge areas and process groups. Now, we are done with this section, and in the next section we will go through everything with a little more detail, and we will do that based on our process groups. So we will go through each process group, we will see how they work together, and then we will proceed to the next one, which is about knowledge areas. We will review all activities, all processes, but from the knowledge areas perspective, and that's when we will have all the details in the PMBOK guide.